Why am I selling my incredible TAD CR1 speakers, the speaker that Andrew Jones, the rock star of speaker designers, considers the speaker that he is most proud of designing? Keep watching to find out. If you've watched my channel before, you know that I'm really a fan of these TAD speakers, but I recently have started playing around with some large electrostatic panels from Popori, which is now called Prodigio Audio. I have another video about that. But I truly love these TAD speakers, and I swore that I would never get rid of them because for my ear, I think that they have the sound in terms of being a box speaker that to me sounds the most like live acoustic music. And here in New York City, I get to hear a lot of unamplified acoustic music performed in small venues in people's homes. And when I come back and I listen to these speakers, I feel like they get me the closest to that experience of being in a room with live musicians. And the interesting thing is that these speakers, like especially if you listen to like a trumpet blast or something like that, these speakers with their beryllium drivers, I think that they really portray the leading edge of the signal in a way that very few other speakers are able to do. And there was a very interesting science experiment where somebody cut off the very leading edge of a note and played different instruments for people. And what they found is that with the leading edge of the instrument removed, people had a hard time discerning what instrument it was. So it's really this leading edge that really helps our ear to determine what instrument we're listening to. And that's what these TADs get so right. And this has a beryllium tweeter and a mid-range in a coincident design, so it represents a true point source speaker. And TAD spent millions of dollars developing a vapor deposition design. And essentially what they do is they take a copper cone for the mid-range and a copper cone for the tweeter, and they put it in a vapor deposition chamber. They vaporize beryllium, and the beryllium settles on the copper cone in a perfect new lattice structure. And then they take those cones, they put them into acid, which eats away the copper, and what you're left with is an eggshell thin coating of beryllium, which some people feel is the ideal material for a speaker driver. And Andrew Jones actually told me that quite a number of years ago, Pioneer or TAD actually experimented with diamond as a driver, and they felt that beryllium was better. So these are unique in the sense that they're the only vapor deposited beryllium drivers on the market, and they manufacture them themselves. And all the other beryllium drivers on the market come from a sheet of beryllium that is just stamped, and that becomes the driver. This is a much, much different technology, and you can really hear the sound of it. And incidentally, probably a lot of you might have heard the KEF Blade and Blade 2. Now, I haven't heard the latest version, which is the meta version, but the previous version of the Blade and Blade 2 were very, very interesting to me because being a fan of coincident drivers, I was very, very eager to hear the Blades and the Blade 2 when they came out. And you just cannot compare the sound of the Blade to these. I mean, it's just such a massive, massive difference. The Blades do not sound anywhere near as realistic and refined as what the TAD is able to do. So these are a really special speaker. I swore that I would never get rid of them because I just haven't found a box speaker that I like as much. But unfortunately, I'm here in New York City and we have a limited amount of space. And this room has to function not only as a listening room, but as a home theater with a 20-foot diagonal screen. And unfortunately, something's got to give. And I know I'm going to be kicking myself someday because maybe when my dance is done with large electrostatic panels, I'll want to go back to a speaker that is more compact in size and that can be really positioned in a lot of different places because essentially the mid-range acts as a waveguide for the tweeter, and so you get this very even off-axis response. And the fact that it is a coincident design, it simulates a perfect point source speaker. So therefore, you don't have the discontinuities of having a driver and a mid-range that need time to integrate. These can be listened to really as near-field monitors or mid-field monitors, far-field monitors. They're just a wonderful design, and I'm really going to be sad to let them go. But if somebody is interested in owning a reference pair of speakers, the best speakers that Andrew Jones has ever designed, please consider sending me an email and we can discuss this. And the interesting thing is that these are the Mark I version. And essentially, there's no sonic difference between the Mark I version and the Mark II version because it was really just that TAD could not source the exact same cone material, and it had a slightly darker color to it. And so that became the Mark II version. And then after Andrew Jones left, I guess TAD felt a need to refresh the speaker somewhat, and they did a very, very minor upgrade in the internal bracing and a very, very minor upgrade in the crossover. And people that have heard the speakers, all three iterations, said you can't really tell a difference. They're essentially the same speaker. It's just that the TK version now has just gotten extremely, extremely expensive. And whenever someone is interested in TAD speakers, I tell them, hey, look for a great set of pre-owned speakers, because in TAD, that's the way to go. You get the same incredible sound, but you're not paying that exorbitant fee required to import them from Japan. And so I really feel that TAD speakers, the reference series on the used market, represents a fantastic value for money. And the drivers themselves are phenomenal. As many people know, TAD started creating drivers for recording studios that were integrated into built-in speakers for recording studios. And then Andrew Jones came on board and said, hey, why don't we develop a speaker for the studio and the home user? And as a matter of fact, the band ABBA uses these exact speakers, the compact reference ones, in their recording studio. And you can see videos of that online of ABBA recording their music using these exact same speakers. And I should also mention that I'm the original owner of these speakers. They were purchased as new. They've always been kept in a climate-controlled and smoke-free environment and haven't been moved around a lot. So if somebody's really interested in a top-performing speaker, I think this would be an ideal speaker for them to listen to. So if you're interested in content like this, please consider hitting the subscribe button. And as a matter of fact, there's another video that I'll link to where you can hear a very high quality recording made with a Sheps microphone of this exact speaker compared with going back and forth with a track with the electrostatics from Popori, now Prodigio Audio, so you can hear what these exact speakers sound like. Thanks again for watching, and hope to see you on the next one.